Hello everyone, Treecks here and welcome back to F0X. This time not per se with the expansion kit, because we are going to cover the highest difficulty of this game finally. After creating our own track last time, we are done with the coverage of that mode when it comes to the regular Let's Play, so we are going to continue with Grand Prix Race, the third, and as you can see, highest difficulty in this game is called Expert. And 7 cups need to be cleared before this game is finally over. We are going to start with that today. And I'm obviously going to do just the Jack Cup today because of the insane length that part 12 actually got. We are going to do a shorter episode today, obviously. I don't really have time to actually keep on recording these long episodes. But anyway, we do have a new racer to select, of course. We are going to pick... there's not a whole lot of people left we have not picked. But let's go pick the Night Thunder for our first expert race. One of the better machines in this game, to be honest. Even though Silver Nielsen himself is a very old man, he's been racing for years and years and years. Never been able to win a Grand Prix, but he is persistent. Even on higher age, he's still trying. That is basically his story. But we have a boost of A and a grip of E. And yes, that is a very good combination. Because of his high booster and bad grip, he's actually very suited for racing with acceleration settings. In fact, perhaps even the best machine in the game for acceleration settings. There's one other machine also having pretty much the same stats. But yeah, you can already see the first couple of turns. Whenever this machine starts sliding, it actually is a monster. In fact, most of the world records in this game are actually set with the Night Thunder and the Bloodhawk, the other super acceleration machine. Whenever racing around with max acceleration settings, and if you're able to actually perfect that, then this machine alongside the Bloodhawk can be the fastest machines in the entire game. Not per se for me, because if I need to be honest, I'm not the biggest pro at acceleration. As I might have shown off already in a couple of earlier races. I actually saw Biorex attacking me for a moment. That is also something you can actually look forward to when it comes to Expert. Unlike, come on Biorex. I'm just trying to talk about how the computer players are a little bit more aggressive in this higher difficulty than normal. And while I'm trying to talk about it, I indeed almost get killed by one. But that is also something you can look forward to. Computer players are a lot more aggressive on Expert. They don't just race a lot faster. As you can clearly see, it took me a little bit longer to actually pass up on everybody. But the computer players will also start attacking a little bit more from this point on. On the first 2 difficulty settings, it was just me trying to kill all of the computer players at some point. But from this point on, you can actually expect them to return the favor sometimes. Let's go start playing Silence for the 3rd time. This is definitely the kind of track where you need to be careful for the computer players. There's usually not a whole lot of room to actually avoid them always. But the moment you get too close to them, you will actually notice they will start using double taps or spin attacks a little bit more often. Of course, they are not going to be as bad as I was in the Joker Cup on Standard. It's not like they become killing machines all of a sudden. But on Novice and Standard, where you basically never saw a computer player doing an attack, this time around you will see it a little bit more often. Just saying. And of course, that's not the only problem we have. They are also clearly a lot faster. As you can see, I did not goof around too much, and yet I'm still in 21st place after the first lap. And people also start attacking me constantly, so... And that is not always in the form of double tapping. Sometimes they can also just drive in the way. That's also something they're very good at on Expert. There should still be a fast one on the track. Even though it will take me longer to actually catch up with everyone, I should still be able to do it. First place is still 2 seconds ahead of me, so... And the rubber band rifle Biorex is going to fall down on its own. However, that does not apply to the rest. First and second place are still very far ahead of me. And indeed, I'm indeed going to lose. And I don't mind. Expert is actually a lot tougher. Even though I did goof around in the beginning a little bit by trying to attack James. After that, I actually played seriously, and yet I still lost. So finally, we are going to see some challenge from the computer players. This is starting to become interesting now. Let's see if the same applies to Sand Ocean. Winning is no longer a guarantee. You actually need to work for it, especially on the easier tracks, because there's not a whole lot of difficulty you can make use of, if you know what I mean. Whenever you're experienced enough in this game, I have noticed you can actually exploit the difficult tracks a lot more than the easier tracks. An easy track like Silence, for instance, there's not a whole lot of room to actually improve over the set speed for the computer players. But on more difficult tracks, especially the ones with a lot of curves, where you can actually exploit the double tap, for instance. Something the computer players don't know about. So the more difficult the track, the easier it actually is to become better than the computer players, I've noticed. Something Sand Ocean is already proving. In Silence I was not able to keep up with these guys, and yet on this track, before the final lap even begins, I've already passed all of them. That's basically already proving my point. I also need to take some revenge on this track, because I can remember on Standard I actually lost this one, so I need to redeem myself. We are going to finish in first place this time, redeeming my previous race, and also redeeming my previous race here on Sand Ocean, which ended in second place on Standard. But that was me goofing around. This is me playing seriously. Let's move on to Corkscrew, the first Devil's Forest. And since this is a little bit of a curvier track, let's go try to exploit the max acceleration again. The Night Thunder's specialty. Something I'm obviously also going to do on Port Town. This track should also work. Oh, thank you for the push, Biorex. There's a good little dinosaur. Oh, and another trick you could use whenever playing on max acceleration. Bumping yourself into the walls on straightaways. This is also a way to create a slide, by the way. It is pretty risky because it does cost a lot of energy, as you can see. But if you're on a straight part of the track, and therefore not having a curve in order to create a slide, you can also create a slide on the walls. And in fact also a trick the world record users also use in order to get the fastest times possible on these tracks. Also a trick that gets used on Mute City and Silence, for instance. Because it might sound surprising, but even a track like Silence, which is nothing but straight track, even there the world record is actually driven by the Bloodhawk and the Night Thunder. Even there, the best players in the world are able to use the slide in order to become really fast there. It almost sounds impossible, but even on Silence, the fastest time in the world is not driven in jumper stats, but on slider stats. I still can't get my head around it. I'm of course not able to do that. I'm not that big of a pro in this game. Nor will I ever be. But I do know how it works. So I can actually talk about it. And in the meantime, also win Devil's Forest. And this track, the max acceleration does work quite nicely. Unlike on Sand Ocean, because on Standard, when I tried it out there, I actually lost. But here it works better. On a track like Big Blue, I obviously don't dare do it. I'm not too sure if the world record holder actually does do it here. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not too sure if this is actually the case, but I have a hunch that every single track in the game, the world record is actually driven with slider stats. There used to be a couple where jumper stats were also a thing, but I'm pretty sure they no longer exist. For every single track in the game, people have been able to use sliding stats in order to get the fastest times in the world. Even on a track like Big Blue. I'm pretty sure if I try to use sliding stats on the cylinder, I'm going to fall off in the very first turn. So don't mind me if I don't try to get burned. But if you're really good at this game, even on a track like this, sliding can make you go crazy fast. You can actually work on every single track. I'm just here to clear the game. Perhaps when I start playing Time Attack, I will talk a little bit more about the slider stat strats. And of course also explain what jumper strats actually entail. And that is actually after sliding the fastest way to play your game. Exploiting the max speed option in your balance, that's basically what jumper is. But we have not even touched the machines yet that actually... Oh! Be careful. I was just talking about how I'm going to fall off the track if I use sliding strats. But even without them, I'm perfectly able to actually get myself off the track, it looks like. But I got away with it, barely. At least we win with blue. Expert mode is going to be a prey. Next time is going to be time attack mode, then we'll talk more about sliding and jumper. For now, we are going to leave that story, because otherwise I don't have anything to talk about in time attack mode. Let's just do the final track. And I forgot to readjust my balance. Okay, never mind. I can also do it the normal way. Let's do it the normal way then. Even though this machine is actually meant for sliding strats. Stats of the Night Thunder are specifically built for sliding. That's pretty obvious. But even with normal balance, it is also good enough to actually win. Don't worry. Even though the low grip setting will actually bother you a little bit if you're not really going for sliding. Because if you're going for a regular or a jumper strat, then of course you don't want to enter a slide. And then a machine like this can actually be a hindrance more than actually a help. Going only slightly too fast can already make a machine like this enter slide. Whenever going for sliding strats, that is of course what you want. If you're not going for sliding strats, then it's something you don't want. And then this machine can actually be more of a hindrance. If you have a firm grip on your analog stick and make use of the double tap strategy in a good way. Oh. Don't push me. Sometimes I actually forget that you guys are indeed a lot more aggressive. No. James? Stuart? I can't remember you guys being so pushy. Oh yeah, it's because this is expert now. You guys are not per se faster than me. You are faster than me on silence, I know. But not on this track. It seems you guys can get pretty close to me, but in the end, the number will still say 1 the moment I cross the finish line. There we go. 5 tracks won and 1 third place. In general, enough in order to score the gold trophy. This is our final result. 587 points. Just like I explained in standard, not necessary to go for a perfect. There's nothing keeping track of that, only if you clear the cup. Remember that. So if you end up losing a track, you should not care. Only if it ends up destroying your gold trophy. If you end up in 2nd or 3rd place in the general standing, or even worse, not even on the podium, then you should care, but otherwise it does not matter. Getting 1 3rd place is something I am not ashamed of. A track like Silence, with these faster computer players, is definitely not easy to win on this higher difficulty. All that matters is in the end that total ranking first. And that is what we're going for. After the 30+ minute episode we had to cover the course edit, this is going to be it for today. A 15-minute episode in order to compensate for that. Don't really have time to record any longer episodes. I already have way too few time when it comes to doing my other stuff, so... Let's go listen to Silver Nielsen. Not bad for an old-timer. Finally, he has been able to win a Grand Prix. It took him almost 70 years. He's over 90 years old by this point in the story, looking at his character. But he has finally been able to win a Grand Prix in his awesome sliding machine. Obviously, something we will see more of during time attack mode. And now, let's go see if we finally have unlocked a new line of racers, because that is taking way too long already. Yeah, there we go! We finally have a new set of racers. So next time we will continue with expert mode, doing the Queen and King Cup probably in one episode. We can actually select 6 new people, or select from 6 new people. Of course, everybody we've seen already as the computer players. But now we are able to finally play them ourselves. But that will be for next time. We have our 3rd cross on the Jack Cup. Next time we are going to play the Queen and King Cup. And I'll try to do those 2 in one episode, because those are the only 2 cups alongside the Jack Cup that are a little bit shorter. So if I try to go for a combining of Grand Prix, we can only do that in the first 3 cups. Oh, and one other thing I could quickly actually explain in order to fill up some extra time. I did promise I would actually take on the staff ghosts the moment Expert is done. That is actually the next step in covering this game. As you can see over here, I have been busy the last week. All of them are unlocked. But that is not per se hard to do. So that's something I don't really have to show off on video. But I will show off me trying to attempt to defeat them. But that will be for after Expert. Let's first try to clear it. Next time that will continue with the Queen Cup. Hopefully I will see you folks then. And Treecks out. Later folks.